If you eat at these restaurants, you're not just grabbing a quick bite. You might be signing up for a buffet of behind-the-scenes horrors you never ordered. While the logos look familiar and the commercials sell comfort, the kitchens often serve up shortcuts, contamination, and secrets no one's posting on the menu. This isn't about taste. It's about trust and what happens when that trust is soaked in fryer grease and topped with marketing spin. So before you take another bite of that fresh burger or home-style pasta, let's pull back the curtain. What you're about to hear may change the way you look at your favorite chains forever. McDonald's isn't just a fast food empire. It's a nostalgic brand built on Happy Meals and global dominance. But behind those red fry boxes and golden arches lies a kitchen story far less cheerful. Let's start with those fries. The ones that smell like childhood. That scent is engineered in a lab, using chemicals that mimic beef fat, not flavor, but fragrance. The eggs in your breakfast sandwich. They were cracked but in a factory weeks ago, then flash frozen into perfect yellow discs and tossed on a grill to fake that freshly made feel. As for the burgers, don't expect cuts from prime steak. These are low-grade trimmings, glued together with binders, shaped, frozen, and machine-cooked to oblivion. Overcooked, slather it in sauce. Undercooked. Hope you don't notice that Big Mac sauce you love. It's Thousand Island dressed up in preservatives. And if the kitchen doesn't make you gag, the cleanliness might. Viral footage shows buns stored next to mop buckets, fryers running on 3D oil, and soda machines hiding more gunk than a high school locker. But the real danger? It's the illusion. McDonald's has mastered the art of making you feel safe, even when what's cooking behind the counter would make most chefs run. But McDonald's isn't the only one turning branding into bait. The next chain sells itself with smiles and Southern charm, and what's really happening behind the counter might surprise you more. Chick-fil-A has convinced America it's the cleanest, friendliest fast food spot around. My pleasure has practically become a brand slogan. But behind that Southern sweetness is a kitchen where corners get cut faster than waffle fries at closing time. That chicken sandwich you crave. It's soaked in MSG and artificial flavor enhancers, then cooked in peanut oil that's been reused so many times it starts to look like brown lemonade. And that chicken doesn't always arrive raw. Employees admit it's often pre-marinated, sometimes pre-cooked, and just pressed into a wrapper to give it that steamy, fresh illusion. And those famous waffle fries, straight from the freezer. If yours arrive cold, it's probably because someone skipped a full fry cycle just to hit drive-through metrics. Speaking of which, employees have confessed that maintaining fast ticket times often comes before sanitation. During the lunch rush, it's not uncommon to skip gloves, reuse breading bins contaminated with raw juices, or ignore cleaning steps altogether. The fresh squeezed lemonade, more like sugary concentrate dumped into a vat and stirred like soup. For all its clean branding, Chick-fil-A is often juggling under-trained staff, hygiene shortcuts, and high-calorie menu items disguised as health food. But the scariest thing might be the illusion of purity. Because when a smile comes with salmonella, all the politeness in the world won't save you. And if you thought you were safe going with something natural and organic, wait until you hear what's been going on at Chipotle. Chipotle built its empire on one promise: fresh food made daily. No freezers, no microwaves, just honest ingredients prepped in store. Sounds good, right? But when you peel back the foil, that freshness starts to rot. Behind the line of guac and steak bowls is a back kitchen many employees say runs on chaos, not care. Former workers have revealed guacamole stirred in 5-gallon buckets, sometimes with bare arms elbow-deep in avocado mash, while scraps from the day before still linger on the prep tables. That's not artisanal. That's alarming. And the real kicker: Chipotle has been hit by more foodborne illness outbreaks in the last 10 years than nearly any other major chain. E. coli, Norovirus, salmonella, you name it, they've served it. They blamed the suppliers. They blamed the customers. But insiders point to the real problem: rushed prep, skipped safety steps, and meat that's barely cooked through. One employee admitted they were told to serve half-cooked chicken just to keep the line moving. Another viral clip showed a frozen chunk of tomato still frosty in a supposedly fresh salsa. And vegetarians, brace yourselves. Those pinto beans once had bacon. And even now, veggie orders get handled with the same tongs used for meat. Allergies? Good luck. Lawsuits have piled up from customers who asked for dairy-free or nut-free meals and still got cross-contaminated. And all this is wrapped in Instagram-friendly paper that hides calorie bombs with more sodium than a full day's limit. At Chipotle, the food might look pure, but behind that line is a recipe for disaster dressed in trendy foil. And if you think sitting down at a cozy, full-service restaurant makes things safer, wait until you see what Olive Garden's been cooking, or more accurately, microwaving. Olive Garden promises when you're here, you're family. But if that's true, it's the kind of family that serves you leftovers and pretends it's gourmet. This isn't Italian hospitality. It's a microwave masquerade, that legendary Alfredo sauce. Shipped in plastic bags, heated in batches. Squirted onto pre-cooked noodles with the elegance of a lunch lady on autopilot. And the pasta. Boiled hours earlier, then dunked in hot water to fake that fresh off-the-stove look. Former employees have confessed the lasagna is defrosted in brick form, sliced into gray slabs, nuked in the microwave, and sent out with a sprinkle of parsley to distract your eyes. Even the beloved breadsticks, frozen, reheated in greasy ovens between orders, then brushed with margarine from a plastic jug. Behind the scenes, things get even stickier. Leaked videos have shown salads tossed in massive tubs that look more like livestock feeders, with lettuce stamped best by days ago. Health inspectors have flagged repeated violations. Food stored at dangerous temperatures, dishes dried with the same rags used to wipe sinks. And one manager reportedly reheating soup with a fly in it and serving it anyway. That's not Italian, that's infestation. Mold in the ice machine. Check. Dirty booths that only get wiped when something obvious sticks to them. Double check, even the desserts aren't real. That tiramisu. It's a frozen mousse brick topped with cocoa powder and sold as fine dining. Olive Garden sells you the feeling of authenticity. But what you're actually eating is corporate cafeteria food hidden under dim lighting and Italian names. But if you think that's bad, just wait until you find out how Wendy's repurposes its fresh leftovers. Yes, that chili has a secret you'll wish you never heard. Wendy's wants you to believe it's different. Square burgers, red-haired mascots, and the promise of fresh, never-frozen beef. But what they don't advertise is how long that fresh meat sits out before it hits your tray. Former employees say patties are often cooked in bulk hours ahead of time, left under heat lamps, and repurposed endlessly. One whistleblower described it as cook it and forget it. Didn't sell, it goes into the chili. That's right, that comforting cup of chili people swear by. It's often made from burger patties that sat for hours, dried out, chopped up, and dumped into a pot. One employee joked, if it didn't work on a bun, it gets a second shot in a spoon. And don't get cozy with the fries either. Depending on the shift, they're often fried in oil that should have been changed. Days ago, customers have posted images of shriveled gray-brown fries with the texture of wet cardboard. The official response, sometimes that happens. No, that should never happen. Behind the counters, things get even murkier. Health reports have flagged locations for improper raw meat storage, skipping gloves between sandwich builds, and barely rinsing utensils during rush hours. One former cook said they were trained to move fast, not clean. Dirty dishes got rinsed, not sanitized, and cross-contamination was just part of the routine. Yet customers keep coming back. Why? Because nostalgia is powerful. But nostalgia doesn't kill bacteria. And clever slogans don't protect your stomach. At Wendy's, the food might be familiar, but the shortcuts are what really define. The flavor, still hungry. Because next up is a chain with a cult following and a spotless reputation. But even In-N-Out isn't immune to the greasy truth hiding behind a polished brand. In-N-Out has practically been crowned royalty on the West Coast, praised for simplicity, fresh ingredients, and a vibe that feels more California dreamin' than corporate chain. But behind the cheerful cashiers and minimalist menus is a kitchen where things aren't always as sunny. Yes, the beef is fresh, but when the drive-through line stretches around the block, speed becomes the enemy of safety. Employees say they're pushed to keep food moving, even if that means flipping patties early, stacking them into warming drawers, or skipping grill time entirely. One worker admitted, if it looks cooked, it goes out. That's not food. Safety, that's a gamble with grill marks. And those iconic hand-cut fries? Real potatoes? Yes. But because In-N-Out refuses to use preservatives, they turn limp within minutes. Employees have been told to toss them if they look too soggy, unless the line is too long, in which case they just get salted and sent. And the oil there? Cooked in. It's supposed to be changed frequently, but when stores are short-staffed, managers just top it off. Add old onions, add regret. The back of house doesn't always match the polished front. Trash bins overflow raw meat containers. Sit too long on counters, and utensils for meat and produce often share the same workspace. Even with better wages than most competitors, high turnover means many new hires are thrown onto the line before they've learned Food Safety 101. Fans may worship the brand, but that loyalty creates a dangerous blind spot, because perception isn't protection. And just because it looks clean doesn't mean it actually is. So where does that leave us? Let's break it down one final time. At the end of the day, every restaurant on this list sells more than food. They sell an idea, an identity, a comfort wrapped in foil or served in a paper tray. But the reality? Many of them are banking on the fact that you won't look too closely, that you'll trust the logo more than your own gut. Fast food chains like McDonald's and Wendy's have turned mass production into a science of shortcuts. Places like Chipotle and Chick-fil-A dress their brands in freshness and faith, even as safety slips behind the scenes. And chains like Olive Garden and In-N-Out ride on reputation, hoping the illusion keeps you from asking what's really in that sauce, or how long that beef's been sitting out. But now that you know what's happening behind the counters, the question becomes, what are you really craving? Is it convenience? Comfort? Or are you ready to start demanding better from the places that feed you? Because at the end of the day, a smiling cashier can't protect your stomach. Only awareness can. So the next time you hear someone argue over which chain makes the best burger, send them this video and let them decide if it's really worth the bite.